In an era when much of America turned a blind eye to the AIDS epidemic's devastation, cinema provided a beacon of hope for those who needed it most.
Aren't you the entertainer? Why don't you organize something?
Well, look at you, being all useful and
On this IMD Brief, we'll download the history of the first movies to raise our collective awareness of HIV/AIDS. In the early 1980s, as Washington and the White House refused to acknowledge those suffering and dying, activists in the gay community fight to be heard. By 1985, the tides begin to change as Rock Hudson, a movie star of Hollywood's golden age, confirms that he has the disease. He dies just a few short months later in October. That same year, queer filmmaker Arthur J. Bresson Jr., who had been making gay-themed films since the late 1960s, writes and directs Buddies, about a friendship between a man dying of AIDS and the volunteer assigned to his bedside. Low budget and only screening at a handful of art theaters and festivals, it's the first film to address the pandemic head-on.
Why should I want the world to see me? Well, it beats hiding.
But it's November 1985's An Early Frost that brings the issue into American homes. An NBC TV movie starring Aidan Quinn, Gina Rollins, and Ben Gazzara, An Early Frost attempts to dispel misconceptions about AIDS communicability in a pointed scene that depicts Quinn's Michael trying to show his mother affection.
Dad's right, Mom. You might catch it just by looking at me.
1986's Parting Glances stars Steve Buscemi in a day-in-the-life look at a gay New Yorker who has the disease but keeps his acerbic sense of humor, while 1989's Longtime Companion opens with the New York Times' first article about what was then being referred to as the gay cancer. Then follows Campbell Scott, Dermot Mulroney, Bruce Davison, and Mary Louise Parker over the course of that first painful decade of the pandemic.
Welcome to Living with AIDS.
Two landmark documentaries are also released in 1989. Best Doc Oscar winner Common Threads, about the AIDS Memorial Quilt, and the experimentally poetic Tongues Untied, about the often ignored issues that Black gay men face in this new era.
We are now entering the fifth dimension of our sexual consciousness.
1993 is another watershed year. First, HBO's And the Band Played On turns Randy Schiltz's book that chronicles the early AIDS epidemic into a docudrama with Matthew Modine and Ian McKellen. Then, filmmaker Derek Jarman dives inward for Blue, an art house exploration of his own experiences with the disease that left him blind to all colors except shades of blue.
Oh, blue, come forth.
As it happened with so many of these artists, the success could not be long enjoyed, and Jarman dies just months after his film premieres. Then comes Jonathan Demme's Philadelphia, the Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington legal drama that wins 2 Academy Awards in 1994, including Best Actor for Hanks, and grosses over $200 million, escalating to a worldwide audience the sad truths of AIDS, our prejudices about the disease, and the overall lack of action.
You get to be a part of justice being done.
At the same time, Philadelphia misrepresents medical facts, and the producers had to settle a lawsuit with the family of Jeffrey Bowers, an attorney and activist who died from AIDS in 1987 in circumstances that clearly inspired Hanks's character. Even with these missteps, the film elevates this conversation, and more voices could be heard. Now, this merely scratches the surface on that, on the struggles and on the triumphs of these films, filmmakers, and their subjects. All of the aforementioned titles belong on your watch list, along with these.
This tragedy, it taught us how to be humble, it taught us how to be honest, it taught us how to love in spite of what's at the end of the tunnel. You know, how to be a little bit more considerate of another person.
For more history downloads and trending tales, stay glued to imdb.com/imdbrief.